Hello, this is Tom, aka Gedeon, here for Tabletop Tap Room's Fanzine Friday in connection with Star Frontiers Gamer. And we are doing episode number 35, which means we're reviewing issue 10 of Frontier Explorer. So let's get right to it. Here we have the cover. This is this monster here is called Giggles, and he is the subject of our ecology of article that's in here, but we'll get to that. This is actually a fairly exciting fall issue, and we were trying to do kind of Halloween horror theme with this a little bit. So right away you get Shades of the Blade, and this is a Blast from the Past. I don't know why we don't have the Blast from the Past logo on here. Maybe it just didn't fit in layout, but this is a piece of fiction written by Darren Patton that we recovered from the Internet Archive. It's just a short little piece of fiction that kind of gives you an idea towards a plot hook and introduces this idea of the Kadan sword and the Her-Cal, the clan shadow. So I just felt like this was just great material. We have to put it back in print so people can access it and enjoy it. The In Search of the Gorlians. This, if you're not aware, the Gorlians were mentioned in an example of play in the Alpha Dawn rulebook. And it's Drevel the Versk has just insulted a Gorlian thug. Accidentally spilling a drink on him. The Gorlian is very mad. Drevel decides to try talking his way out of it, and he attempts a personality ability check. And he fails badly, and the Gorlian thug then punches him. And this is the first and only mention of the Gorlian thug. Well, the question has always been, what is a Gorlian thug? So this was the subject of much discussion online. And I compiled all the different options that had come up, that had been floated. You have that it's a new sapient species, that it's a Yazarian clan from Guna Garu, that it could be a cadre of thugs. Remember, we have cadres in the frontier. So it just could be a cadre of thugs. It could be an engineered race, similar to the sapes that were introduced in Bugs in the System. It's a word of Yazarian origin. It's a word of human origin related to gorillas. A blended solution. This is the tack that says, look, words have meaning. Sometimes they have multiple meanings. And it's quite possible that, Gorlian had there was a human word that just kind of got corrupted to be Gorlian, i.e. gorilla. Because gorilla, it represents a rather big primate, but you could also use the word gorilla to describe a large and aggressive and maybe even abrasive human male, particularly. And then we talk about the 900-pound gorilla in the room. Wizards of the Coast, or D&D, is the 900-pound gorilla in the RPG room. So, you have multiple ways of using the same word. And I kind of like the blended solution where you use several of the options. So I like the blended solution myself, but we ran a popularity poll on the starfrontiers.us site, and the results are here. 16.6% went with Yazarian clan. 16.6% wanted a playable sapient race. 16.6% were in favor of the thugs, and there was a 50% voting for the mistranslation of Garu from Guna Garu, resulting in a cultural stereotype referring to things from Guna Garu. So that was the most popular solution. And but again, I kind of like a little bit more of a blended solution. So that's how I roll for my game. But, this was just a discussion going through all of the possibilities. But again, it's going to be up to each game master What is a Gorlian thug in your game? We then ran an ad here at the end of this article to kind of, for next issue, we're running some voting to see what was the best Star Frontiers module of all time. And so we ran this little ad to plug your vote for that, and we'll see that in the next issue with the Frontier Explorer poll produced as the best Star Frontiers module of all time, voted by the fans. So that's coming up. Next, we get No Passport for Giggles, as I alluded to. On the cover is Giggles, and Giggles is a creature of Turladrom in the Frommeltar system. And I love this cracked and smashed Chronicom illustration that was done. I thought, this is great. Somebody went looking, and all you found of the guy was his Chronicom ripped off his wrist. Not good, kind of scary. And so this is a creature for instilling fear, and we've got some GM and editor notes on it. And moving on to Frontiers of Horror, I wrote this, and this article is about examining the tropes and concepts of writing horror. And it's about helping you as a game master to write a horror adventure for Star Frontiers or any RPG. Talks about the elements of horror, fear, surprise, and suspense. What's the difference? Mystery, gore, the archetype characters in horror, and the spoiler. Then coming down here, the part that I found the most interesting was the monster archetypes. There are distinct monster archetypes in horror. You have the remorseless killer, which is your Frankenstein monster. He's the malignant demon, the mindless killer. Sometimes serial killers fit into this archetype. You have the predatory killer. This is your vampire, a hunter, a parasite, a possessing demon, or a body snatcher. His goal is to prey on his victors. The xenomorphs from Aliens come to mind. The changeling, or the shape-shifting killer, is your werewolf, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Some serial killers fall into this category. What's important is to portray a radical change between the two personas. To a certain extent, you could almost say, Aliens, where the human being is implanted, but not so much, because it's you end one existence and transition to an alien. You've got this psychopath who gets triggered and becomes a psychopath and kills, but then he goes back to normal. And it's like, so it's that Dr. Jekyll back and forth between the two personas. And then you have the unkillable killer. This is your ghosts, your avenging spirits, the Hercal, the clan spirit, presented in Shades of the Blade at the very beginning of the book of this issue. It desires vengeance or redemption, but it is implacable in the pursuit of its goals. You can't stop it. It's you can't reason with it. You can't. It's difficult, almost impossible to fight. So these are the basic monster archetypes. There's we discuss who dies and the take back in horror fiction. In fiction, TV, movie tropes, there's this idea of the take back, that you think somebody died, but it turns out that they managed to crawl underneath something and they come back alive. So you can write somebody out, you think they're dead, and then take back the death. That is permissible in fiction, but the next time they die, it's for real. You don't do second take backs. Otherwise, it becomes overused and you just break it. And then last thoughts. So again, this is about equipping you, particularly if you've never run a horror adventure before, to work up a horror adventure for the RPG that you happen to be running from the perspective of a writer. And I think these things are very helpful towards writing a adventure, an RPG adventure centered on horror, particularly if you're just doing a, hey, it's Halloween coming up, we're going to do a horror adventure. So it's a change of pace. So next up is the Prodigal Son, is In the Shadow of the Prodigal Son. And this is an adventure using the Red Thunder deck plan from the previous issue. And it's a setup where the ship has disappeared, but it's been spotted drifting. And so a team is sent to recover it. And so that team goes on board. There's some mysteries involved. What happened to the other crew? What's going on? There's some, and it's presented as a horror style adventure. And so this is fun. I enjoyed writing it. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but we go into, I actually named one of the dead NPCs, Drool Patton. And that's an homage to Darren Patton, who wrote that Shades of the Blade article. So, which inspired this. So I just felt like he should be immortalized in this. And the fact that I named a dead character after him is not intended to be a slight on him. Just wanted to say that. Just an homage that I thought his material was really cool and it inspired me. So next up we have the Titan Rising, episode 3. A comic. You can read that for yourself. And then a new cadre, the Hag. Are you a member of the Hag? The Hag is the Hollow Actors Guild in the Frontier. And this was a lot of fun. I think I came up with this after hearing the Screen Actors Guild referred to, SAG. And so we examined this. You've got acting roll tables here where you can audition to be an extra and get paid 25 credits a day for being an extra on a movie. At various levels of, low budget independent film, low budget studio film, moderate budget studio film, so on and so forth. So just for including this in an adventure, and then we look at all of the major PSAs and what role they would play in the Hollow Actors Guild. For instance, your military PSA people would likely fill the ranks of your, of consultants, stunt beings. You'd have technicians, and as per the Alpha Dawn rules, where technicians drive vehicles, they could be stunt beings. They would operate equipment, cameras, anything electronic. Along those lines, biosocial. A character with biosocial might have studied the psychosocial skill just to better understand his fellow beings in the pursuit of his craft as an actor. So that's one possibility there. I then examine the Zeb's Guide skill system, how that would interact with this, and then also examined a skilled frontier from Star Frontiersman number 9, since these are the most popular skill systems available. So that was fun. And, you could have a whole setup where the whole party of characters happen to be members of the Hollow Actors Guild. And they're filming a commercial or filming an independent film, and then stuff happens and they've got to respond to it. So this could be a complete setup, something for you to use in your game. Bounty Hunters, Jason Combs. He gives us 2 bounty hunters, their ships, their robots. Now, what's really interesting here is when you scroll down, you get a deck plan. This is a horizontal deck plan, but it kind of, to my mind, this deck plan foreshadows the Mandalorian's ship there, the Razor Crest, in quite a bit. And so I thought that was rather interesting when I re-looked at this after all these years. Now, Tom Stevens wrote, "How many ships are there?" This is a technical examination with some number crunching, which is good because, he's an astronomer, so he's basically a default mathematician. So he number crunched based off all the Starship construction centers, based off of maintenance needs according to the rule book. That how many starships would there be floating around and he came up with a number. It's a fairly low number of 1,500. And then he says, if you do this, you would then adjust that number up by 600, depending on how often people are actually doing their full maintenance overhauls, whether they're skipping a year, because you could skip a year and get away with it. But so this is an interesting article. There's not much for gameplay here, but it's just to give you as a game master an idea of how many ships are floating around the frontier sector. Now, this was a fun article. Edges and flaws for starships. I wrote it, but I had a great time thinking all of these edges and flaws up. Now, some of these really do nothing. Like down here, beautiful. The vessel's configuration, whether intentional or not, is such that its color, shape, lines, detailing causes the vessel to be perceived as a work of art. The vessel will forever be praised and admired. And all you would do with this as game master is all the time, some NPC is going to be like, whew, that's a sexy starship you got. Over and over and over again, such that the players get tired of hearing it. Man, that is a good looking stuff, man. Whew. You just do it all the time so that it becomes a cliche and a joke even amongst the players. So that doesn't do much. But then you have efficient engine design. Atomic drive of this vessel so well designed that it will make one more. That could be a major bump for somebody with a atomic size A engines on their ship. So small craft, now they're doing 2 void jumps before they're forced to do an overhaul. That could be a really a big benefit, particularly to somebody running a commerce campaign where they're trying to make money by moving cargo. Some of the flaws are actually fun, like this erratic intelligence. The good news is the ship comes with a robotic brain to assist the crew, but the bad news is that it's unreliable or downright insane. There's a 1 in 5 chance that it will refuse to carry out an order, but it will not expose the ship to damage in so doing. So it is still mindful that it wants to continue its existence. So it will not refuse an order that puts the ship in danger, such that it could be damaged or it could end its own life. But what immediately comes to mind is that scene from 2001. Hal, open the pod bay doors. Sorry, Dave, I can't do that. So I just thought that would be something fun to play with. And the expression of the AI's madness is left up to the referee, but the full spectrum of mental illness in humanity can be used to develop this. So you can search for an inspiration and how this AI is going to be a little bit keyed and off center from that. And then there you have Infamous. I love this one too. The name of this vessel is a vile epithet across the frontier. Everywhere the vessel travels, it is recognized and disparaged. The crew suffers a minus 10% penalty to initial NPC reactions and personality checks. That's just a fun one to throw in there. So, and then we had a beautiful advantage. There's an ugly one. It doesn't really do much. It's just everybody comments, man, that's an ugly ship. That ship fell off the ugly warp point and hit every grav eddy on the way down. Dubliner family. This is actually inspired by, this is an NPC merchant family. They have 3 ships. This is inspired by a C.J. Shera novel. And the family, the merchant family in that, they had the name Dubliner, and I just borrowed that here. And I wrote this up. This is not a direct ripoff, but I wrote, these NPCs up, and I signed them 3 different ships that they have as a clan, and all run by family. So this is a clan of spacefarers, merchants you might use in your game. And I specify which ships. 2 of them actually have deck plans. The third it has stats, and it's the Brimsong class yacht from Yachts and Privateers Return, written by Douglas Niles. So that ship does not have a deck plan, but you could easily just use the Assault Scout because it's a hull size 3 vessel. So this was a fun little write-up and something you could use in your game. And then at lesson 10 from Grymz Guide called Blame. Who do you blame? And you can read that for yourself. So this is Frontier Explorer number 10, fall of 2014. We were attempting to have a little bit of a of a horror Halloween theme with the adventure that's in here, with articles on adventure, and even the Giggles, the ecology of creature being a little bit on the horrific side. And so that was a fun issue. Had a great time working on it with Tom Stevens. So I want to thank you for watching this video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And if you have not subscribed, please do consider hitting the subscribe, like, and bell icon. Help me build the channel. Till then, I will see you in the frontier.